All right, well, welcome. I'm Jody Myman. I'm the Executive Director here for Louisville and Jefferson County Emergency Management. So we're up against some heat-related issues coming up in the next few days. Beginning at 2 o'clock today, we're going to be going under an excessive heat warning issued by the National Weather Service here out of the Louisville office. And to talk a little bit more about that is Mr. John Gordon.
Okay, afternoon everybody. Glenn Frey's song, "The Heat is On," and the heat is on. It's going to be bad. The real bad days for this heat wave are Friday and Saturday. The heat warning starts today at 2 o'clock, goes all the way to Sunday. We're looking at 93, 94 today, heat index of 106. Tomorrow, 96, 97, not good. Heat index of 110. Heat index of 110 on Saturday, 96, 97. And we cool down to a 93 or so on Sunday. Heat index about 105, 106. Big changes next week, big cool down, but there's some things you need to know now. We have far too many kids dying in cars from parents who leave their kids in cars. Never, ever, ever leave your kid in a car. Look before you lock. Beat the heat, check the back seat. We have lots of pets dying in cars. They should not be in there as well. We've had police deputies, dogs dies in cars in Georgia. Never leave an animal, an elderly person, anyone in a hot car. It does not take long. If you're dehydrated, if you're already thirsty, you're already dehydrated. Way too hydrated. It doesn't take much for the workers outside in all the industries. Take a lot of breaks, drink a lot of water. Next week, big cool down. This too shall pass. Thank you very much.
Thanks, John. The biggest thing we want to emphasize, and the reason we're doing the press conference, is that you've got to prepare now. You've got to know the signs and symptoms of not only heat exhaustion, but heat stroke as well. And to speak on a few of those items are Diane Vogel, Colonel of Louisville Metro EMS.
Thank you, sir. So with any heat wave that comes into the community, everyone needs to be very cautious and recognize that heat-related emergencies are far more likely to occur in the very elderly and in the very young because they don't have the mechanisms in place to cope with the heat. Oftentimes individuals, especially children, can be in car seats, which can increase the heat around them as well. So you need to be aware of that they should limit the amount of time that they're sitting in a car seat before you can get them out so that they can get to cooler air. Elderly people, you should go in and check on those. A lot of times they may have poor air conditioning systems or ventilation systems, and please be a good neighbor and a good steward and check on your elderly neighbors. So look for individuals that may have some signs and symptoms of heat-related emergencies. So what you want to be careful of is to make sure that no one is feeling faint or feeling dizzy. That's the beginning signs that they may have something going on with the heat-related emergency. If they have any signs of nausea, if they have any trouble breathing, if you develop cramping, especially if they get hot skin or any type of confusion, then it becomes a very serious medical emergency and they should seek medical attention very quickly. We recognize that people have activities that they have to do outside. Please limit those activities to either early morning hours or very late hours, as it will help with the heat index that's out there that you're dealing with. With the humidity, it's going to be very hard to evaporate the amount of sweat that you're generating off of you. So if you're outside, you probably should be sweating, and keep your exertion levels to minimums. Make sure that you go inside, that you take frequent breaks, and that you're drinking lots of water. Water is the best rehydration liquid that's out there. Some people do some of the sports types drinks. Those should be taken in moderation as well, because you want to make sure that you're not overdoing it with those types of things. So, thanks.
Okay, thank you. And to speak on a few more things, we've got Mr. Paul Kern from Louisville Metro Public Health and Wellness.
Thank you, Jody. These folks have given you some great ideas and great hints about what you should do. I think one of the things that was not mentioned that's important is you have to remember that when the temperature doesn't cool down at night, then you get hotter the next day. So the important thing about what these heat warnings do and what these high heat indexes do is they keep the heat up at night. And then that way you don't cool down as much as you do normally. So sometimes when we have hot weather, you'll know we'll have cool nights and everything will get back to normal, but it's all cumulative. So the more days you have in a row with a high heat index and high heat warnings, the more cumulative effect you have on your body and those around you. But some of the great tips they gave you was Don't wait too late to take a drink. Make sure you drink plenty of water ahead of time. You have to stay ahead of that dehydration curve. If you don't, then you're really going to fall off very quickly with that, and it's very difficult to recover. I know personally for me, when I've been out working and get hot and I get overheated and I sit down, I find that I don't recover as fast. So you have to be real careful. Just because you go in and sit down for a while doesn't mean you can go back out and go full bore like you did before. So be very careful, and as Diane mentioned, watch the heat warning signs for heat stroke. Make sure you pay attention to those, and most importantly, check on your neighbors and those around you, because they may not know, they may be incapacitated and need your help. So please make sure you do that.
Okay, thanks. Just some things also to think about, not only taking care of yourself, take care of where you're going to be at. Your houses, there's some things that you can do. Cover windows with drapes or shades to keep the inside temperature down. Weather strip doors or windows so that you're not losing the cool air out of your house. You can use window reflectors and things like that. Take advantage, and again, this is a situation that you can prepare for. It's not something that just comes. The Weather Service has talked for several days about this, that it's coming. So prepare yourself, not only for your health, but what happens if your air conditioner does go out. Take advantage of some of the places that you can go to stay cool. Shopping malls. You can go to potentially churches that are open, or libraries that are open during normal hours, or community centers. So know where these places are at if by some chance you have to resort to that. Try not to use electric fans outside. That just circulates the air. It doesn't cool. So be careful utilizing something like that. The Salvation Army will have water available on their Brook and Breckenridge location for people to stop in if they need access to water. We put the Red Cross on alert. We've been talking with them to see if there's any assistance, or if we need any assistance from them during the duration of this event. The Operation White Flag's in effect anytime it's over 95 degrees, so people can take advantage of that as well. Any of this information, follow us on social media: Emergency Services, Louisville Metro Public Health and Wellness, the National Weather Service. Any of these agencies, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook. We'll be putting out reminders. We'll be putting out safety tips constantly through this event. You can also go to ready.gov and download some information, some signs and symptoms of health-related issues related to the heat, as well as some ways to take care of yourself and your family and your pets in your homes. And if you do have to go out, in this heat and work or do anything, how to take care of yourself. I guess we'll entertain some questions.
Can you be a little more specific? When you say drink plenty of water, is there any details or more specifics you can give on what should plenty of water be considered as?
You need to hydrate. It's not something that if you're going to be outside in an hour that you want to start hydrating then. It's something that you want to start now. You want to stay hydrated anyway, not just during an excessive heat event, to keep your body the way it is supposed to be. So drink water in moderation. Don't drink a whole lot at one time, because it can obviously make you sick. But like I said, drink that in moderation. The sports drinks, a lot of people are under the misconception that a whole lot of sports drinks are good for you. Drink those in moderation as well. Maybe in between several bottles of water, several glasses of water that you may take in.
Maybe John Gordon can answer this. How rare is an excessive heat warning like this? And can you talk to this?
Yeah, I think the last one we did was 2012. I mean, last year we actually had a nighttime low, and Paul made a really good point about nighttime lows. Let me talk about that to address your question. Is in the old days they didn't issue the heat warnings unless you had a heat index or a low of 80 degrees at night. That's very rare. However, in Louisville we have a lot of concrete at the Louisville International Airport, a classic urban heat island. So when you have lows at night, you can't recover at night so much, and the temperature, you already got hit. All that temperature, it's just so excessive, and it just goes up so quick during the day. So we haven't done one since 2012, and the main reason we did this heat warning is because it was 4 consecutive days of heat advisory criteria, which was like 107, 108, 109, 110. Usually it's greater than 110 just for one period, but this is 4 consecutive days. So that's why it was done. And I think it jived really well with the Paducah office, Indianapolis, so it looks pretty nice on the map.
When you talk about things like a tornado warning or something like that, people's, it really piques their interest. They pay a lot of attention. How serious is this?
I think this heat, and I've always said that, I don't know what Paul thinks, but I think heat and cold are always the silent killers. When we do our weather talks, we always say the #1 killer of all is flooding. But it's really not. It's temperature. When you take the combined effects of cold and heat, you have more people die. But most counties, Louisville's different, most counties don't have full-time coroners. They have part-time coroners, and they usually don't list what the cause of death is. But temperature is always going to be the #1 killer. And folks, I'm telling you, the elderly, the sick, heat really is a killer. And so I think it's real serious. People say, well, it's hot. Who cares? Believe me, if you're out there working, playing softball, doing whatever in the middle of the day, doing jackhammer, I worry about the people on the roofs doing all the tar and all that. Serious.
What are some of the signs people should pay attention for, especially in those older folks? You mentioned the sick and the younger kids.
Yeah, I'm gonna let Paul. I'm gonna let these two.
Okay. So what you want to make sure that you don't have is someone who, if you're looking for an elderly person, they should have some sweat on them. If they're outside and it's hot in there, they should still be sweating. And the reason that we talk so much about elderly people is that your body kind of does really change as you get older, and your ability to combat the external temperatures and your own temperature regulation actually decreases. And so they should be reacting the same as you. They have, oftentimes, elderly people are naturally dehydrated. A lot of them have poor appetites. They don't take in good oral intake to begin with. So they haven't been having, throughout the course of a day, on average, you should have at least 8-ounce glasses of water in a daytime. Well, they're not doing that. So they're behind the 8 ball, so to speak, in the beginning because they're already partially dehydrated a lot. And then you put heat on top of them, and they're not taking in liquids and foods, which helps hydrate them to get them through the episode. So you want to look for their skin condition and their skin color. It should be normal. If it's not normal, we need to worry about trying to get them to a place that gets cooled off. If they start to complain about nausea and feeling sick at their stomach, especially if they have any level of confusion, that can be a very significant warning. So if you're looking for someone to see how they're doing, that's what you want to look for. Okay? Thanks.
Anyone else? Okay, we will be following up with another press conference on Saturday, I believe at 3 o'clock. We'll send out a press release to give you a specific time if it changes and in a location.
Just one more question.
Yes.
Any talk about opening up any kind of cooling centers?
We'll monitor that as the situation, goes to the next 4 days. So, like I said, we've talked to the resources that we need to assist us with that. So it's there if we need to, and like I said, we don't know that for sure right now.